this is Rob, YouTube's granddad. What are we going to talk about today? Well, fun enough, health insurance. Now, on my recent trip to Thailand, I've been there like 21 years, never had an issue in any kind of food from anywhere, to be honest, including the stores. I went into a food market and ate some normal food I've always eaten out there, no issues at all. Like I say, 21 years I've been going there. The next, probably later that night, I felt a bit dicky in the tummy, didn't think much of it. By the morning, I was in such a bad way, so much pain in my stomach. I threw up a few times. I was really, really bad off, I'll be honest. I thought I'd just see how it goes, drink a lot of water, things like that, give it a few hours and see how I feel. But yeah, I just got worse and worse. I phoned up Bangkok Hospital and said to them, like, what's going on with me? And they said I'd be better off to go up and just get them check me out and everything else. So I did that. No issues at all. Got there, taxi up there, cost me like 100 baht or something, not much at all. Got in there, see the receptionist, said what I was there for. They obviously took my passport, took a photograph of that, and then they took me into like the emergency room as such. And when I was there, they started doing just give me some basic stuff like morphine for the pain and things like that, because I'll be honest, it was quite a bit of pain in my stomach and everything else. Excuse me. And now, this is where the story kind of goes awry a little bit. Now, I was in hospital, and obviously you're only on like a gurney, so you're not actually in a room or anything like that. Now, the hospital, not their fault, it's their policy and it's how they do stuff, come around and they ask for proof of insurance, which most countries do and everything else. So I had all my details with me anyway, which was fine, and I'd never been ill before in another country, so I naturally presumed, and I imagine a lot of people do, you just hand over your paperwork, there's all your details, documentation, there's your reference code and everything else, and you think, that's it, they take that away, they contact the company, good as Larry, don't need to do anything. Now, turns out that's not entirely true. Lucky enough, I had my mate there with me, because I'll be honest, I was in a lot of pain, I couldn't really concentrate or even talk properly, I'll be honest. But lucky enough, he was there, and he phoned up the insurance company, because apparently the hospital in a lot of these countries require like a reference number, which is like confirmation of payment. In other words, whatever the hospital do, they want confirmation of the payment that they will get their money. Now, when we phoned up, excuse me, it took a little bit to get through, which wasn't the greatest. And basically, my mate spoke to the person you have to deal with, and they said, yeah, okay, no worries, they'll send over the confirmation reference number and an email, blah, blah, blah. And you thought, great. And this was at about midday. Then the hospital come back and see us again and said, what time was it? Probably about 5:30 in the afternoon. Still hadn't heard anything. So my friend phoned up again, and got the same response. Yeah, no, it's on the way, it's going to be there, don't panic, don't worry, you're all covered. And again, they came back about, I think about 6:30, and said they still hadn't received anything. Excuse me. And then at that point, I was told that where I was, they actually close at 8 o'clock. So if they don't receive anything, they would have to transport me to the normal hospital and not the private hospital, which is like the government hospital, which obviously is not as good as the private one. So I start worrying a little bit about that, to be honest. So my friend, and he's talking with the hospital now and just saying, look, he clearly has it and everything else, but obviously it's a business for them, so they have to still have what they're meant to do. I mean, it wasn't their fault on their hand that the insurance company wasn't sending through the right information there and then, which kind of should have been. So my friend then got back on, back onto the phone again. This time spoke to somebody, because of the time difference, spoke to somebody in the UK. The guy apologised and everything else and said, don't worry, it'll be sent as soon as we get off this phone, I'll do it. It'll be sent over in 5 minutes. And given their due, spoke to that guy literally like that. The hospital come back and said, yeah, it's all been covered, sorted and everything else, and you think, thank God for that. But I'll be honest, it was a little bit of a sort of scary time really, because also you're going to get shipped off to the government hospital because they're closing where you are. So they took me up into a room, my own private room, which I'll be honest, was massive. It was like a small flat. They had a sofa there, they had a balcony, they had a really decent bathroom, rain shower. They even had a like a little cooking area, so, microwave, fridge, freezer, things like that. A sink. It was honestly, for what you pay for, it was awesome, to be honest. And then obviously at that point they then start, because obviously they got authorization of payment, they then start literally ploughing drugs into me and everything else, doing lots of different blood tests. And for that, I will put this up properly on the screen about now. But as you can see on there, I mean, I'm not a doctor, but what it was, all my blood count was completely out. On one of them, I think it was, it should have been about 120 or something like that on one of these counts. Mine was over 1400, and a lot of them are sort of out of whack where they should be. And it turned out that, all the years I've been going there, I somehow got food poisoning, but also that I also had some sort of reaction to something that was in the food, not just the food poisoning, so like an allergic reaction to it as well. So, the doctor was literally giving me so much drugs and everything else to sort of try and counter it. And, I will not knock Bangkok Hospital. Do you know what? They were brilliant. I mean, the nurses there, the doctors were there. Honestly, bent over backwards. They were so nice. They went and got me food all the time. Like even when I got in the hospital, and even I didn't feel like it, they went away, got me food, brought it back, and to be honest, almost insisted I eat it, just to try and get something in my stomach, which I did. One of the nurses there was honestly absolutely brilliant. I mean, she'd finished. I didn't realise this until the next morning. She'd finished her shift at, what was it, about like 1 o'clock in the morning. I mean, I was, to be honest, I couldn't sleep. I was still irritable. I couldn't settle or anything like that. And she literally come in, sat with me for an hour and just talked about anything really. So we chatted away about stuff, sort of thing, and then after that, I don't know, just talking to her just sort of settled me down a little bit. She gave me some water, she washed me down a little bit and all this sort of stuff, because I was sweating quite a bit. And then and then I sort of settled and then sort of dropped off and everything else. And after I was talking to one of the other nurses, who actually, to be honest, most of them could speak really good English. Apparently that nurse had come and sat with me, and this is the caring side of Thailand especially. Apparently she was going to go home, but because I was restless and everything else, she come and sat with me for no reason. It wasn't her job at that point, she'd already clocked out, but she come and sat with me just to sort of, that first night, make it a bit easier for myself. Always thankful for that, because I'll be honest, I needed it at the time. So why am I telling you all this really? Insurance. Now, I've gone to Thailand for quite a few years, and I'll be honest, I'm probably guilty as much as anybody else. I've not really had insurance when I've gone before. It's only realistically, as I'm getting a bit older, for the last probably about 6 years or so, I've actually gone with insurance, because I'm getting older. My body's not as fit as it used to be, and things go wrong here and there. So I thought, this time I'd take insurance, and good job I did, because I was in hospital, I think it was 3-4 nights, I think it was, and that would have cost me, what was the final? I can't remember the final bill. So it would have cost me about 1,500 quid if I didn't have insurance. But lucky enough, the insurance covered everything, everything else. So the reason I'm doing this video is that if I didn't have insurance, I would have been either massively out of pocket, or they would have transferred me to the government hospital, which again, I'm not knocking them for that, but it wouldn't have been anywhere close to the kind of service I would have got where I was. So my suggestion before you go on holiday, the three I would suggest, and there's plenty out there, the ones I would suggest is AXA, Alliance, or the Post Office. All three of them really good in Thailand, because again, you need to, when you get insurance, just make sure what the insurance covers and what countries it's good in. Because some insurances are better in other countries than that. I mean, me personally, I would look up an insurance within Thailand, what's recommended, or whatever country you happen to go to. But it wasn't a good time. But if I didn't have insurance at that point, I would have been severely like in a lot of trouble. But a friend of mine as well, he last year we went, or 2 years ago, he was out there and he came off a jet ski and cracked a couple of ribs and all this sort of stuff. You know, don't go, it's no daft fault. But he went to hospital, and again, lucky he had insurance. They kept him for a couple of days, took care of him and everything else. But again, that would have cost money. You need to think about it. Even if you're young, fit and everything else, a lot of insurance policies do not cover a lot of stuff. So you need to read through your insurance policy properly, because a lot of them won't cover things like jet skis, go-karts, you know, deep sea diving, things like that. So be very mindful of that when you're actually doing all this sort of stuff. You know, I've heard about people in the past, you know, was it one guy, he actually broke a leg or something on the jet ski, and I weird story, but I heard that he'd actually sort of got his mates to carry him up to the road, and then basically then phoned the police and said he'd been knocked over, so that the insurance would kick in, you know. But I would say just definitely make sure 100% that you check what your insurance policy covers and make sure you get it. Even if you're young and fit and you think, oh no, I don't need it, I'll be all right. The accidents, they're called accidents for a reason. You know, they're things that just don't think will happen to you, but obviously could happen to you. Like I said, 21 years I've been going to Thailand. Food has never affected me, and I eat a lot of Thai food when I'm out there. You know, thank God I had that, to be honest. So my biggest recommendation before you go on holiday, get good insurance. I mean, I'll be honest, there's so many out there. You look at it and you don't know which one's which. I normally go in TUI, to be honest. I normally go in there, sit with a nice lady at the desk, say where I'm going, say I want insurance. I mean, they used to do AXA, they've just gone over to Alliance. And yeah, I normally go in there, they go through all the details for me, I pay my money. As it happens at the moment, Alliance, they were, when I went just for Christmas, were doing a year one for £130. So I got that, because then it covers me when I go to Thailand near the end of this year as well, so I get 2 trips in one. But yeah, definitely look at insurance. Get yourself covered and your family, and just make sure what's in your policy, what it covers and how much, because how much you covers, like you can get a low policy, you know, and pay 30 quid, you know, and it covers real basic stuff. You know, I paid 130 for the year, but that's like £10 million worth. What the hell could happen to my body to warrant that kind of price? But I know I'm always covered, you know, and it also things like it repatriates you back to your home country, you know, long stays in hospital, medicines, everything like that at all. So my biggest recommendation is get some proper health insurance, otherwise you will come a cropper and you have to either pay out your own pocket or go to a standard hospital rather than a private one. So this is my little pro tip. Get some insurance. Don't be silly. Don't think it can't happen to you, because it can. Right. Hope that's been helpful, but definitely do it, and I will put some details up anyway in the comments. Right. Be safe, be careful, and be insured. See you soon.